Once again, we're going to look at our heartbeat, but we're going to return to our strain gauge, which was a way to measure force. So you remember the way this works is that when you bend the cantilever, the top experiences tension where the bottom is under compression. We have a little strain gauge here that has the periphery as essentially the base, and you will be pressing on the center cantilever. And this has a strain gauge on the top as well as the bottom. So there's one that will detect tension, and there's one that will detect compression. So these strain gauges are going to be wired together in a Wheatstone bridge. And you might recall that this configuration is essentially two voltage dividers, and each of the feet in our scale is a set of strain gauges where they are in tension and compression, the top and the bottom. So if we look at the strain gauge itself, you can imagine that it's in one of the feet of the scale of the 4 feet. And let's see, the center, the white electrode is the center one, and the red electrode is the bottom strain gauge, and the darker one is the top strain gauge. So these are wired together in a Wheatstone bridge. You recall that the voltage difference is the difference that we measure across this bridge, and we're going to send that to a filter and an amplification circuit. And of course, your challenge is going to be to design the amplifiers and the filters to isolate your heartbeat. So you'll hook your scale up to the instrumentation amplifier in your circuit, and the output of that instrumentation amplifier will be sent to the rest of the circuit, which consists of a series of filters that are interfaced with the op amps. So just as a reminder, the little divot right here for the AD623, you want to have in this orientation so that you can power on this side. Whereas on the op amp chip, the LMC6484, the divot's on the opposite side so that you can power over here. You might recall that the op amps are, their inputs and outputs are at the exterior ends here, so that each of the 3 pins will give you the output, which is the furthest most, the negative terminal input, and then the positive terminal input. And that's the same over here, the output, negative, positive, and over here it's mirrored, the output, negative, positive. This is just one way to wire up the circuit. There's lots of different ways to do it. This just happened to be how I did it. So in the next 4 minutes, you'll see what this VCG output looks like. So you can see me and Evelyn standing in the corner there, and Evelyn is standing on the scale. And you can see the scale is super sensitive to any kind of motion. It really amplifies any kind of movement, as you can see there. So Evelyn gets off the scale, and I'm going to get on, and you'll see that the reading isn't very strong for me. So I get on the scale, and you can see my heartbeat. It shows up as that little tiny, like a square little hump that's jaggedy at the top. And you can see it's about 1 beat per second. At some point, I decide that it's not very strong, so I'm going to exercise a little bit and see if I can get a stronger signal. So here's where I'm going to get off, and then I'll do a little exercise. A few jumping jacks, always good for you. Theoretically, my heart would be sort of maybe pumping more strongly and a little bit faster. You can see there's not much going on there. I have a small heart. Now we invite Philip into the mix. What you can see is his heartbeat registers much more strongly on the BCG